by the need for common state standards. For over a decade, state leaders have been wrestling with that issue. While state education leaders are committed to ensuring all students graduate from high school ready for college, work, and success in the global economy, states have often taught different material at different rates and are held to different standards. In 2007, the National Governors Association and the Council of Chief State Officers determined the time was right for a collaborative effort to establish a common core of standards that raise the bar for all students. These organizations represent governors and state commissioners of education who are charged with defining K-12 expectations at the state level. These organizations facilitated a state-led process to develop common core standards in English language arts and mathematics that are fewer, clearer, and higher to best drive effective practice, aligned with college and work expectations, rigorous in content and application of knowledge so that all students are prepared, informed by the standards used in high-achieving countries and high-performing states, and research and evidence-based. Common standards can help create more equal access to an excellent education. With common state standards, expectations are consistent and not dependent on a student's zip code. Students need knowledge and skills that will prepare them for college and career in our global economy. Fewer, higher, clearer. These new standards are clear and coherent in order to help students, parents, and teachers understand what is expected. The standards alone do not do it all. While the standards do define what all students are expected to know and be able to do, they do not define how teachers should teach. Teachers will continue to create lesson plans and tailor instruction to the unique needs of their students in their classroom. The best understanding of what works in the classroom comes from the teachers who are in them. That's why the standards allow each teacher in each classroom to figure out what works best. While the standards do focus on what is essential, they do not describe all that can and should be taught. The standards establish the essential knowledge and skills needed at each grade level. The local school has flexibility in establishing advanced work beyond the core of the standards. While the standards do set grade-specific standards, they do not define intervention methods or materials necessary to support students who are well below grade level expectations, who are English language learners, or who have special needs. The standards must be complemented by a well-developed, content-rich curriculum. Implementation decisions remain local. Teachers and school leaders determine how the standards are to be taught and establish the curriculum just as they currently do, allowing for continued flexibility and creativity. Who is involved? 45 states, the District of Columbia, 4 territories, and the Department of Defense schools have adopted the Common Core state standards. The standards create a foundation to work collaboratively across states and districts. Teachers can pool resources and expertise, create curricular tools, attend professional development, develop common assessments for classroom use, and share other materials. Adoption of the core state standards is voluntary for states. Missouri adopted the standards recognizing that they were designed through a state-led initiative to address declining U.S. competitiveness with other developed countries. The initiative aligns with one of the primary goals of the Top 10 by 20 plan. All Missouri students graduate high school ready for college and careers. They build on the strengths of Missouri's Show Me standards, and common standards create a foundation for districts and states to work collaboratively. States have flexibility to add standards that are important to their local context, but should not add so many standards that teachers can't possibly teach them all in 1 year. Missouri has conducted a thorough review of the standards and has chosen not to add to the state standards at this time. States benefit from having shared standards from state to state, can more readily use resources created across the country, and students are provided with consistency when they move. This is especially important to our military families. As they move from state to state serving our country, they can be assured that the expectations for their children will be consistent. This is one less adaptation they will have to make. The Common Core was developed and is owned by states, so a state may choose to make changes to the standards as they'd like to at any point. Since they are state standards, it's a state choice how they use them. K-12 and higher education institutions are partnering like never before to align the Common Core state standards with Missouri's College Ready standards to ensure students graduate from high school prepared for credit-bearing college courses. The ability to meet these standards should greatly reduce the number of Missouri students having to take remedial, non-credit-bearing courses in college. For the first time, our Commissioner of Education and our Commissioner of Higher Education have joined together to ensure that alignment of the Common Core state standards with Missouri's College Ready standards remains a priority.
Hello, I'm Chris Nicastro, Commissioner of Education.
And I'm David Russell, Commissioner of Higher Education. Chris and I are here to tell you about an important new Missouri initiative in education, one that will align high school and college curricula so that students graduate college and career ready.
The Common Core state standards for math and English are part of Missouri Learning Standards and were adopted by the State Board of Education in 2010. They were created through a state-led initiative involving Missouri teachers, administrators, parents, and content specialists to set consistent learning goals for all students.
These standards provide students and their parents with a clear roadmap of academic expectations so that they can work together with teachers toward shared goals.
The standards are relevant to the real world, focusing on the knowledge and skills students will need to succeed in life after high school in both post-secondary education and the globally competitive workforce.
You know, implementation of the standards is completely in the hands of our state. All of us will need to work together to make implementation successful for our students. The need for remediation among students entering Missouri's post-secondary institutions who are unprepared to do entry-level work costs the state nearly $91 million a year. Improving standards will ensure that over time, students graduate high school prepared to succeed in credit-bearing courses without the need for remediation.
The Common Core state standards are not a curriculum. Missouri districts will continue to choose or design their own challenging curriculum and to determine the best methods for implementation. Academic standards simply set expectations and identify what all students need to learn, but do not tell teachers how to teach.
We hope that you'll learn more about the standards
and help Missouri reach the top 10 by 20. Thank you.
What does this mean for careers? Data in this slide show how the skills and tasks of the U.S. workforce has changed from the 1960s. For example, the orange line, which I hit the wrong button there. Okay, the orange line here shows quite a decline. And that represents jobs and skills of the typical factory worker. Routine knowledge skills, represented by the yellow line, has had a huge decline over the last couple of decades. This represents those middle-class white-collar jobs that involve the application of routine knowledge, jobs that are most at threat today. Careers now require students to possess higher